Hey, gorgeous lucky bees, it's Denise here, and this week is a really special week because I have another special guest. Now, last time I interviewed somebody, I got so much feedback from the lucky bee community saying more guests, please. And today is a really amazing woman. If you don't know Marie Forleo, you are absolutely going to fall in love with her. And if you do know her through her amazing programs B School, then I think you'll really enjoy hearing about her views on money, her views on money blocks, and some of the things that she's learned about creating a multi-million-dollar company. It's a really great interview. And I think you're going to love it. Now, her professional bio is that she started out as a life coach. She's a multi-passionate entrepreneur. She has done fitness videos. She has been a professional dancer. She has been interviewed by freaking Oprah. She's been on Super Soul Sunday. Oprah considers her a thought leader. I consider her a personal mentor, and she's also someone who's influenced my life in a massive way. She's impacted my business in an absolutely incredible way as well. So take some time to listen to today's interview and you'll get a lot of juicy nuggets out of it. Let's take it away for Marie Forleo.
Marie, now you probably know from the Lucky Bee community how much we love talking about money, and we notice that people aren't very honest about money quite often in our society. So we've got a couple of questions for you just around money and your thoughts, and also your blocks around money, because a lot of people don't believe me on this, guys, but money does not make your money blocks go away. This is a lifelong thing that you work on. So are you ready, Marie?
I'm ready, Denise.
So what was your first job and how much did you get paid?
My very first job outside of my family unit, meaning, I used to work at my dad's business. He was an entrepreneur as well. But the first outside job I had, I was 9 years old, and I started babysitting for neighbors around the corner. And I believe I was paid $10 an hour, which is actually really good. Given what minimum wage is still in this country. But that was my first job, and I remember feeling so excited to have my own money. Like it was the most unbelievably empowering feeling to have my own cash. I didn't have to ask my parents for anything. And I used to always dream about, okay, I'm going to start saving this. I want to start building it up. How much can I make? I got really excited about just the whole idea of being able to work and then get compensated and all the things I could possibly do with those funds. It was very exciting for me at that young age.
And was that because of the Babysitters Club, the book?
No, it was honestly because I wanted to work so bad. But here in the U.S., in terms of getting like a job at, a restaurant, or kind of one of my other first quote unquote real jobs was as a Carvel ice cream girl. There were certain age limitations around that. I believe it was around like 14 or 15. You couldn't, really get working papers or get approval to get a quote unquote real job until you were that age. But I was so excited. I just wanted to do anything. And I remember talking to my parents about it, and they were like, well, babysitting is something that a lot of people do. And I would walk around the neighborhood, and I found a family who was a young family, and the mom just loved that I was mature and I was really enthusiastic. So she gave me the position.
And $10 is good. I would have been stoked at 9 for $10.
Well, what was really funny, Denise? It was because I actually started pitching like upsells and adding value even back then. I remember, us discussing the money, and I said, you know what? This particular woman, she was very fond of cosmetics and makeup. And she had this whole kind of beauty area in her bathroom. And I remember, when she was showing me around the house the first time, she kind of just gave me the lay of the land. And I saw all these cosmetics, and she's like, yeah, it's a little disorganized. I said, well, would you want me to clean that and like organize it for you and put things kind of in color combinations and all that stuff? And she's like, really? I was like, yeah. And she's like, oh, I'll pay you extra to do that. I was like, fantastic. So, when the kids were down napping, I went and kind of did some organization for her and would help her. You know, I would always come up with new ideas of things that I saw needed to be done and then would pitch my services. So for example, one time, because the kids liked me and because I did a good job, they were having a 4th of July party. And I knew how to work there at the time, CD player. And I said, you know, I could play DJ and I could play really good songs while you and your husband and the family, you're all having this 4th of July party. I can kind of play DJ and play some good Prince and, you know, mix in this song and that song. And she's like, really? I was like, yeah, I can do it. So this is, you know, me 9, 10, and 11 years old, hustling to get more work and to make more money.
I'm not surprised. I really do think that entrepreneurial streak comes out at such an early age. And, you know, for some of us, some people have said, you know, they come into entrepreneurship later, but for some of us, and myself included, you know, those markers are there at such an early age. And do you think that's because you said your dad was an entrepreneur, your dad was a business owner?
I think that's part of it. He was a small business owner, you know, from the time when I was born through most of my teens. He ran his own small business. And there were many, many times and many weekends where the whole family had to go into work at the shop, is what we would call it. And we turned it into a party where, you know, we would help him get done a job. And he was in the printing business. So there was all these huge pieces of equipment and a lot of manual labor kind of things that had to get done. Of course, there was a technical side of it, which he handled, but there were just really practical things that kids and, you know, my brother and myself and my mom could help. It was almost like a little assembly line. We could move things along. And rather than my dad being at the shop all by himself all weekend, the whole family did it together. So I really understood, you know, what it took in order to get a job done. Sometimes things go wrong and you have to put in extra hours. And we would turn it into a party. You know, our parents would order pizzas and we'd play music. And my mom is one of the funniest, goofiest, most amazing human beings in the world. So there were games and, you know, running around in between, taking breaks of actually getting things done. But that's definitely part of where it came from.
So that working side, do you remember talk about money? You know, what was your earliest memory of kind of linking that work together with money and, you know, the first time you really realized that money was a real thing?
Well, it's interesting, you know, because I have a very early memory of money from when I was around, somewhere between like, I think it was like 6 or 7 years old, maybe 8 years old. My parents actually got divorced. And it was over money. So from my childhood perspective, my view from what I heard and what I could understand was that there wasn't enough money. The whole reason that my mom was crying and my dad left and, you know, she wound up feeling so distraught and helpless and hopeless was because there wasn't enough money. And I remember the day that the divorce finalized and she was a wreck, naturally. She bent down and she put her hands around my shoulders and she shook me and she said, don't ever, ever, ever depend on a man for money. You need to grow up and you need to earn your own money and you need to be able to take care of yourself and be independent and don't make the mistakes that I made. So very early on, I was imprinted both with an idea that the lack of money creates pain, that not enough money takes love away, and also a very clear message from my mom that I was to make my own way in this world and be very independent, which I don't blame her at all. I just feel like it was also a natural part of who I was as a human being in my DNA, but certainly our experiences shape us. And so those were some of my earliest memories around money. And I remember after that starting to actually fall in love with money, Denise. Like, you know, any dollar that I would get, you know, my babysitting, I've told this story on Marie TV. I actually really loved it. Like, I wanted to honor it and respect it and understand it, so much so that I would wash it in the sink and then I'd dry it and I'd iron it. It was like, I was into it, but it wasn't about like worshiping money, because for me, what I saw was having money meant that I could keep love alive, that I could take care of people. So I made myself a sacred promise very young that when I grew up, I was going to make so much money that I would have enough to take care of people's pain. Now, I know we can read all into that, but to be honest, I'm really grateful for that experience because it gave me a lot of fuel, and it gave me a perspective that I feel is really healthy around money, and I'm grateful for that to this day.
Absolutely. And any of those experiences, I think we can make into a healthy relationship or an unhealthy relationship. Because I had a very similar experience with my mum saying that, like, don't ever rely on a man. And I really kind of made that a negative thing for kind of a long time, that men have all the power around money. That's how I chose to interpret that. And I had to do a lot of work to undo that experience. So I think for those of you who are listening, there's no good or bad experiences. It's really what you make it mean and what beliefs you've decided out of those experiences.
Agreed.
Yeah. So I know that when you started your business, you were you had a bridge job. You were a bartender, I think I remember, and you were coaching people on the side. So, I mean, to be honest, where a lot of people are in their businesses, and probably a lot of people listening, they might not be a bartender, but they might still have a day job, or they're kind of doing things on the side. So what was the very first thing you ever sold kind of as an entrepreneur in that space of, coaching and self-help and personal development?
Yes. Well, first, just to be clear, I had like 5 bridge jobs. It was like bartending, I was waiting tables, I was personal assistant. I worked like 7 days a week because that's what it cost. But the very first thing I sold in my business was one-on-one coaching sessions. My business was a life coaching business. That's exactly how it started off. And I remember, feeling incredibly insecure because I was a 23-year-old life coach, terrified to ask people for money, did not feel adequate, did not feel confident, just was completely like a fish out of water. But I knew I had to do it. I knew I had to walk into that fear. I knew I had to do it anyway if I ever was going to achieve my dreams of having a profitable, sustainable business.
Do you remember how much you charged for that first coaching session?
Denise, I actually don't. I feel like I would have to really do some research to look that up because, funny enough, I just don't want to give a wrong number. I know it wasn't very much, but I've been doing this, over 17 years now. So it's definitely a long time ago. I don't know how much I initially charged, but I don't think it was anything outrageous. I do know the first quote unquote e-product that I sold was, my book, Make Every Man Want You, as a, digital ebook, and that was $29.95. That was the first experience of quote unquote, passive type of income, which all of us know. Rarely any of it is passive. That's a little bit of a myth. There's a lot of work that goes into it. But, if you can get systems set up, it's a lot different than, for example, for me, showing up at the bar at the restaurant, whereas, if I didn't show up that night, there's no way I'd get paid. With an ebook, as long as my systems were set up right, I would get some money.
Yeah, and it's freaking life-changing, people. Earning money for something that you love, but also earning money for something that you've created and get paid for again and again, it's life-changing stuff.
100%. I remember that first sale, Denise, of the ebook. It was one of the first few was someone in Spain, actually, and that moment of going, whoa, I put my ideas down. I did my work. I did my research. I created this thing that I'm really excited for people to get. And there's someone halfway across the world that I would have never been able to reach otherwise if I, was in an earlier era, had to get on a plane, or we had to be in the same city or anything like that. It was mind-blowing. And that first taste of having a global reach and being able to be paid for something that you love, I agree with you. It completely changed my world, and it gave me that little vote of confidence to say, okay, if you got one sale, that means you can get 5 sales or 20 sales or 100 sales or 1,000 sales or 100,000 sales. And that was really a very, very inspiring event.
I had a really different experience with my first e-product. I actually felt really incredibly guilty. And I now know that was because I had a huge money block that you have to work hard to make money. And so suddenly somebody giving me money for something that I didn't feel like I earned, to be honest, it hit this huge money block. So it's a good segue into kind of the next lot of questions, because my audience are really interested in hearing about people's money blocks and things that have come up, because we think, in the personal development world, it's like, well, why wouldn't you want to make more money? That's amazing. But for women, it brings up some kind of sometimes conflicting feelings. So at the start of your business, or any really point in your business, have there been times where you've experienced money blocks and kind of conflicting feelings about money?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this wasn't necessarily an internal block. The biggest money block when I started was a very real and tangible block of being tens of thousands of dollars in debt. So that was more about going like, whoa, there's not enough, and I'm starting at below zero. And then in terms of one of the first money blocks, I think, for me was as a life coach, knowing, and I never lied about it, but it definitely was an internal tension for me, because I was very passionate about helping people create a life they love. And I was tens of thousands of dollars in debt. So I had this internal integrity conflict. Well, who am I to help people when clearly girlfriend has got a lot of work to do, not just in the financial realm, but in other realms as well. And then as my business started to grow, Denise, every single time, and specifically talking about money, I remember the first time that I was offering a program we had called Adventure Mastermind. Now, mind you, what I had sold previous to Adventure Mastermind, I think, maybe the highest price point was a couple $100 or maybe like $1,000. And I took a big jump to $15,000. And before I offered that program out into the world, I got headaches. I got physically ill, because there was a part of me that was absolutely sure that I was going to over-deliver on what I was asking for as an investment from my students and from the folks that I wanted to work with in that program. But there was an enormous amount of guilt and self-doubt. Who do I think I am? Is this friggin' crazy? All of those things that I think many of us can experience, those inner money conflicts, that can hold us back. And I remember being awake at night. I remember crying. I remember the tension and trying to talk it out with people I trusted. There was something deep in me that knew the price was right, yet there was all of this emotional static and turmoil that went with it. And I experienced that a few times in my business and career, where there was a tension in there, and I never felt like I was out of integrity. Again, it wasn't about me feeling like I was ripping people off, but there was a lot of emotion and there was a lot of blockage. And for me, it always comes out in a physical sense, where I physically get ill. So
I've heard you talk about that before, about getting ill. And, my audience and your audience is very familiar with The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks and the concept of upper limits, and which I think is such a powerful concept to get. So everyone, you have to read that book if you haven't. But, I've experienced this a lot in my business, because I run one program, which is the Lucky Bitch Money Bootcamp. And every couple of months, I kind of feel this upper limit and think, this is the most amount of students I'm ever going to have in this program. And, we're about 2,500 now, which is wonderful, because my first year of B School, when I first created my first program, there were 4 people in my first program. But I can feel it again, and it's the same false belief that, wow, 2,500 people is the most amount of people I'm ever going to have in this program. And yet, you have done B School again and again. I think I was the second cohort maybe in 2011, and it keeps on growing and growing. So do you experience that yourself, and have you experienced that in B School?
In B School, it's really interesting. I have to tell you, there is this expansiveness in my own experience around B School. I don't know quite where it comes from, but every single year it feels like something is deepening And something is also reaching out. It's like the roots get stronger into the earth, and I also feel like the branches reach wider out into the world. I know that might sound a little strange to me, but I don't tend to have blocks around B-School. I think part of it has to do with I get so focused on the program and how we're helping people transform their lives, and I feel very connected to our community, and I'm constantly hearing stories from our folks. And plus, to be really honest, we spend so much time working on tweaking things, refining things, improving things, making things better, that it's like I have my head down so much that it's almost as if I don't have space for that. So, you know, B-School continues to grow year after year. I'm continuously grateful and wowed, and almost like I almost have to step aside in a bit and be like, goodness, this thing has grown to be a life of its own. You know, but I think it's really, really natural for all of us to have those upper limits in all kinds of ways. You know, something I just wrote about today to our subscribers, it's not necessarily money related, but it speaks to this idea of limits and upper limits and blocking ourselves. You know, I was on the Steve Harvey show last week in Chicago. It hasn't aired yet, but they tape things like we do in advance.
Oh, I love him.
He's amazing. And I was sharing, you know, I'm quite experienced on camera. We've had our show now for 5 years. I've done fitness videos. You know, I'm definitely not a newbie when it comes to doing on-camera work. Yet this was the first time of being in front of a live studio audience. It was my first time working with Steve Harvey. And I was in the green room. And I prepped for this, but for whatever reason, I just felt a level of nerves and anxiety that I haven't felt in a long time. And I'm in the green room, and the producers are coming in, and they want to, you know, do kind of a quick run through before I go into hair and makeup and then actually go on the stage. And they, you know, asked me the first question, and literally I went blank. Had a complete moment of like, forgot how to speak English. My mouth was open, my eyes were wide, no words came out. It was like someone asked me something in Japanese and I don't speak Japanese. It was the most stunning, like, whoa moment. And, you know, it lasted 3 to 5 seconds. And then I was like, okay, I had to like shake my head. I laughed at myself. I apologized. And I said, okay, can we try that again? And then it all came out. But, you know, I think for all of us, no matter where we're at on our journeys, there are next levels that we want to reach and things that we want to express and experience, certainly around money and around wealth. And for you, you know, around the Lucky Bee program, and for us around B-School, wanting to see our work grow and continue in the world. And I think your reference of the big leap is genius. And I think that's the fun game for us. It's like, how good are we willing to let ourselves have it? How expansive are we willing to be? And where can we notice when we get nervous or contracted or we notice a limit? And how can we really observe that, be aware of it, and step through to that next level?
Yes. Oh, I love it. Thank you. That's very inspiring to me as well, knowing that I do need to step aside and let that take root, grow branches, grow bigger than myself. Now, I know we've only got a couple of minutes left, and I know there are a lot of people who have excuses. You know, you think, oh, well, I'm too young, or I'm too old, or I need to lose weight. That's a huge one for women, right? Or I'm in debt, or whatever. You know, so what do you say to those people out there who want to join B-School this year and might have wanted to join last year, but keep on saying, well, this isn't my year, maybe next year?
It's a great question. Here's the thing. And this is something that any of us, you know, you start getting to a certain age, and I think it becomes more in focus. You will never be as young as you are right now and today. And there is no better time than this moment to get started on your dreams. Because from my experience, all of our dreams take time. You know, Denise, I love that you shared when you started your Lucky Bee program, right? You had 4. You had like a handful of people in there. And now you're impacting thousands. But that didn't happen overnight. You built that.
No.
You did that over years with work and creativity and dedication and perseverance. So the sooner you start, meaning like right now, the faster you're actually going to see the fruits of your labor. You know, the next year is going to go by no matter what. and you're either going to be closer to realizing your dream, you're either going to have people that you've impacted, things that you've created, ways that you have grown as a human being, where you can lay your head up down at the pillow at night and say, yes, I am doing the work I was born to do. I may not have all the results quite yet, but I know I am on the path. Or the next year is going to go by and you're going to be asking yourself, why did I let this time pass? I'm a year older. Other people are doing it, because I know I have that conversation, right? You see other people doing the kind of things that you want to do, and you haven't given yourself permission to get into the game. The other thing I would say, and I'm so proud of this, and Denise, you're such a big part of this, our B-School community is amazing, and it keeps getting more amazing. And I feel like one of the things that holds all of us back, and it's understandable, we don't have support around us. We don't have people that we can be real with, that we can talk about how crazy difficult things are. And we don't have people that we can celebrate with who are genuinely happy when we have those small breakthroughs, when they see our progress and they celebrate with us, when they give us ideas and advice and encouragement when we need it most, perhaps when we're not getting it at home, or our friends don't understand us, or there's no one around who really gets our dream. And so the other reason I would say it is this, is that we all need that support to grow. And I can honestly say, I think we have one of the most vibrant and beautiful and loving and connected and diverse communities on the planet of people who really do want to make a difference for all the right reasons. And just like with your philosophy, Denise, they embrace making money because they embrace it as a tool for doing good for themselves, for their families, for their communities, and for the greater issues that our world is facing right now, and there are a lot of them. So it's like putting yourself within this dynamic environment that will move you ahead and take you to places you could have never imagined you could go. But the only way to do it is if you do it. You got to take that first step.
Yes, exactly. Thank you so much, Marie. And guys, stick around. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about what I got out of B-School over the last couple of years, where my business was at when I started B-School, and so on and so forth. But so stick around to hear that. But I just want to say thank you so much, Marie, for that, just burst of confidence that I think people really need to hear. They need to hear that people are real and face money blocks no matter what part of business they're at. But that doesn't mean to not take action and not get into the flow of your destiny and where you're going to go with your life and your business. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Denise. It was a pleasure, and it was an honor to be with you all.
So I told you that Marie had some absolutely juicy nuggets, and I personally got a lot out of that. I felt like it was a really massive kind of aha and epiphany for me when she talked about how B-School has put down roots and grown branches and grown and grown. And for me, that has just come at such a timely time for me, because, I constantly hit my own money blocks. And every time I have a new influx of students into my programs, I think, oh, well, this is it. This is all I'm ever going to have. And so she's absolutely inspired me in that way. Now, let's talk about B-School. Now, if you haven't done B-School, I honestly do say that you are missing out on an incredible community and also really, really great business training. Now, you might have seen B-School around for the last couple of years and thought, I'm not going to join this year, or what's the big deal? Or sometimes even you think, oh God, everyone's doing that. I'm not going to do it, because you don't like to be like everyone else. I totally get it. So I just want to tell you a little bit about my experiences with B-School, and also tell you about my B-School bonus. Now, as you might know, B-School runs just once per year. And I'm a proud affiliate for B-School. I have been for the last 4 years, and I'm allowed to offer an extra special bonus for people who want to join B-School. And, it's a kind of a cool thing. You can shop around and find the best bonus. I personally think that my bonus combined with B-School is all you need to create an amazing business. So stick around to listen about that. Otherwise, you can go to luckybitch.com/B-School, and that's just the B, the letter B, and then school, all one word, luckybitch.com/bschool, and you'll get all the details of my bonus, plus you'll get the links, and you can sign up and make sure you get the proper links so you can make sure you get my bonus as well when you join B School. Now, I just want to tell you a little bit about my story about B School. So I started my business as it is now, as a kind of a life coach and a personal development person in at the end of 2010. And before then, I'd tried a lot of different businesses, and I'd, been one of those people who started a business every year, and they were always kind of crap. And so 2011 was the time where I wanted to start being a life coach. And I started doing seminars around my town. I would drive around in my crappy little car and do these life coaching seminars and doing these goal setting seminars. And I wasn't really getting a lot of traction. Like, it was going okay, but I felt really stifled by the limitations of that. I was like, I'm going to run out of people in this town, to be my clients. And somebody told me about B School, and I'd known about Marie Forleo for a few years. And I saw this stuff at B School, and I just remember thinking, wow, $2,000. Oh, I'm right at the start of my business. And I think I'd probably earn about $10,000, $15,000 in my business at that stage. And so it felt like a lot of money. It's not like I had that $2,000 lying around to do B School. It was a really massive stretch for me. And I remember talking to my husband at the time and just going, babe, I think I need a course. Like, I think I need some guidance and some community around me, because I don't know anyone who's doing what I want to do. And I feel really lonely, and I feel really lost, and I don't know what's next for me. And I don't know how to do this by myself. And I love my hubby, but I remember him saying, but you've done courses before. Like, when's that going to end? And I was like, never. Doing courses and learning never ends, ever. But he was kind of like, but haven't you already done a course before? I'm like, yeah. So I remember, I put B School on my credit card, and I went for the 4 payment plan. And I have to tell you, 2 of those payments bounced, and I had to contact them and say, oh, I'll put it on a different card. And it was really embarrassing, and I hear that happens sometimes in B School, right? They go for the payment plan, and sometimes the payment bounces. It's no big deal. That's what happens. But it's just where I was at in my business at the time, where I was just learning to earn money and just starting out. And so I started B School, and it really blew my mind about the possibilities of online business and how to put together a program and how to really pull together all the different skill sets that I had into a business. So about 2 months after B School, I ran my first ever group program, and I was so proud of this, and it was so exciting. And I had 4 people on it. But those 4 people, I was like, wow, this is the start of something big. And that was the seed for me to create the Lucky Bitch Money Bootcamp, which at the time of me recording this has had over 2,500 students. But it started with those 4, and I learnt how to do that from B School. And I learnt through being part of a community of women who were doing amazing things in the world. And it was life-changing for me doing B School. That year I think I earned $60,000 that year, and that gave me the confidence to know that I could do this, that I could create a business. And then, and then the second year, and this is the thing, the B School doesn't go away. You're constantly in the community. You get every upgrade every single year. And so Maria's improved the program every year. So the following year I doubled my business, and then the next year I doubled my business. And I am in that B School community every single day. I'm in the B School Mums group. I'm in the B School Australian group. I'm in the B School woo-woo group for people who like woo-woo stuff. I'm in the main B School group, which is about 15,000 people. Yes, it can get a little bit overwhelming, but it's still an amazing resource. So B School still impacts my life every single day now as $1 million business owner. And I really I appreciate Marie so much for what she's put together for selfish reasons for me. It makes me teary thinking about it. At the end of that interview, when she was saying that, I just thought, far out, this has changed my life, and I am so appreciative of B School and of Marie, and I am crying. Whew. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so you might think, oh, it's not my time. And it's like, well, dude, when is it going to be your time to do something? I highly rate B School as an incredible community, incredible business course. And just to be a part of a movement like that of female entrepreneurs and there are a few guys in there for sure. So make sure if you're interested in joining and you want my B School bonus, which is you can join the Lucky Bitch Money Boot Camp as well. So you get boot camp and Marie's program together for just the cost of B School. I do get the kickback from Marie, of course. That's how I can do this. But, it really is an amazing opportunity to change your life this year with both my support and Marie's amazing community. So make sure you go to luckybitch.com/bschool. And if you are already a boot camper, send us an email at info@luckybitch.com and we'll see if we can help you. We can try and figure out something for you. But for everyone else, if you haven't done B School and you haven't done boot camp, this is a one-time only. This happens once a year. It's an amazing shot to really change your life and change up your business for the next year. And as Marie said, why wait another year to do something incredible? Because imagine where you can be a year from now. You could be completely changing your life. So make sure you go to luckybitch.com/bschool, and I'll see you in my group and Marie's group because I'm in both daily. I'll see you there. Bye.